MC. MC. Here we go, guys. Short stories on a little scooter. What are we doing today? Well, the island of Dr. Moreau, part 3 for us. All right, what's this little scooter ride all about then? We's heading down into Greer proper, and we'll do a little slow roll, and we'll go all the way through and hit the little trailhead and call it good there. So now, where we left this story off, this island of Dr. Moreau, there was one guy left in the boat. He was kind of delirious, and he saw a little schooner boat coming up, and he was just kind of laying there just watching it all happen, not figuring too much, like he's kind of out of it. So we'll pick it up there. We're almost at the end of chapter 12, and chapter 12. We's almost at the end of chapter 1. That's just chapter 1 we're rolling on. Okay. And then, all right. Here we go. For an endless period, as it seemed to me, I lay with my head on the thwart, watching the schooner. She was a little ship, schooner rigged fore and aft, come up out of the sea. She kept tacking to and fro in a widening compass, for she was sailing dead into the wind. It never entered into my head to attempt to attract attention. And I do not remember anything distinctly after the sight of her, until I found myself in a little cabin aft. There's a dim half memory of being lifted up to the gangway, and of a big round countenance covered with freckles and surrounded with red hair staring at me over the bulwarks. I also had a disconnected impression of a dark face with extraordinary eyes close to mine. But that I thought was a nightmare until I met it again. I fancy I recollect some stuff being poured in between my teeth, and that is all. Yeah, so we just zipped right through we get into the real estate alley here, and we'll do us a little slow roll as we go through. It seems every second place is a real estate place, and then I don't know, there's a whole lot of rental stuff and that kind of stuff, but you're sure not going to find no Piggly Wiggly, that's for sure. Chapter 2, The Man Who Was Going Nowhere. The cabin in which I found myself was small and rather untidy. A youngish man with flaxen hair, a bristly straw-colored mustachio, and a dropping nether lip was sitting and holding my wrist. For a minute we stared at each other without speaking. He had watery gray, expressionless eyes. Then, just overhead, came a sound like an iron bedstead being knocked about, and the low, angry growling of some large animal. At the same time, the man spoke again. He repeated his question. "How do you feel now?" I think I said I felt all right. I could not recollect how I had got there. He must have seen the question in my face, for my voice was inaccessible to me. "You were picked up in a boat, starving. The name on the boat was the Lady Vane, and there were queer marks on the gunwale. At the same time, my eye caught my hand, so thin that it looked like a dirty skin purse full of loose bones, and all the business of the boat came back to me. Yeah, so there might be a restaurant. Oh, that might be a restaurant there, or it's just part of a lodge, most likely, though. And the most normal thing I saw over here was a farmer's market. So I thought, oh yeah, I could probably fit into a farmer's market. All of the business of the boat came back to me. Have some of this, said he, and he gave me a dose of some scarlet stuff, iced. It tastes like blood. It made me feel stronger. You were in luck, said he, to get picked up by a ship with a medical man aboard. He spoke with a slobbering articulation with the ghost of a lisp. What ship is this? I said slowly, hoarse from my long silence. It's a little trader from Arica and Callao. I never asked where she came from in the beginning. Out of the land of born fools, I guess. I am a passenger myself, from Africa. The silly ass who owns her, he's captain too, named Davis. He's lost his certificate or something. You know the kind of man. Calls the thing the... Oh boy. Kakuawana. Oh boy, I'm chewing this up. Kakuana. That's the one. Kakuana. Kakuana. Yeah. That's what I pee. How about you? Put it in the comments. And of silly infernal names. Though, when there's much of a sea without any wind, she certainly acts accordingly. Then the noise overheard began again, a snarling growl and the voice of a human being together. Then another voice telling some heaven-forsaken idiot to desist. You were nearly dead, said my interlocutor. Interlocutor. Wow, I got some words to look up, which is part of the reason why this is happening. Oh, look at this most beautiful little drive. Scooter time, scooter time. Yeah, I got another one we're gonna... This is it's the poor man's side over here. There's a bunch of rentals and that kind of thing. I'll do another one. We'll continue on with this island of Dr. Moreau kind of thing, but we'll go over on the other side of the river, and the buildings are far more exclusive and bigger, and you can hardly see them because they're so tucked away so nicely. All right. You were nearly dead, said my interlocutor. It was a very near thing indeed, but I've put some stuff into you now. Notice your arms? Sore? Injections. You've been insensible for nearly 30 hours, I thought slowly. I was distracted now by the yelping of a number of dogs. May I have solid food? I asked. Thanks to me, he said. Even now, the mutton is boiling. Yes, I said with assurance, I could eat some mutton. But, said he, with a momentary hesitation, you know, I'm dying to hear of how you came to be alone in that boat. I thought I detected a certain suspicion in his eyes. Damn that howling! He suddenly left the cabin, and I heard him in a violent controversy with someone who seemed to me to talk gibberish in response to him. The matter sounded as though it ended in blows, but in that I thought my ears were mistaken. Then he shouted at the dogs and returned to the cabin. "Well," said he in the doorway, "you were just beginning to tell me?" I told him my name, Edward Prendick, and how I had taken a natural history as a relief from the dullness of my comfortable independence. He seemed interested in this. "I've done some science myself. I did my biology at University College, getting out the ovary of the earthworm and the radula of the snail and all that. Lord, it's 10 years ago. But go on, tell me about the boat." He was evidently satisfied with the frankness of my story, which I told in concise sentences enough, for I felt horribly weak. And when it was finished, he reverted presently to the topic of natural history and his own biological studies. He began to question me closely about Tottenham Court Road and Gower Street. Is Kaplatzi still flourishing? What a shop that was! He had evidently been a very ordinary medical student and drifted incontinently to the topic of the music halls. He told me some anecdotes. Left it all, he said, 10 years ago. How jolly it all used to be. But I made a young ass of myself. Played myself out before I was 21. I dare say it's all different now. But I must look up that ass of a cook and see what he's doing to your mutton. Oh, we're getting close to the trailhead over here. Yeah, it sure be nice to live in this area, but I just can't imagine that many people just rolling in and out like I did it at least 3 times. So yeah, I'm people. But it's all national forest here, so you know that when you move in, it's not like you had a nice big development and somebody went and moved a forest in on you. Okay, wait a second here now. And we'll find out what's happening to your mutton. That growling? Oh, I guess we're not gonna make it to the end of this chapter. Thanks, guys. See you next time. See, and we'll try to give you just a second or two of their big roly Rosie. Oh, Rosie, hold it together now.